Welcome to sunny Southern California where it's freezing today.
It's not that cold.
Well,
it's
for you it's
on
not.
the chilly side, but it's not that bad.
Were you born and raised in New York?
No. I was born in South Carolina, but I spent most of my time in New York. So New York was sort of like home base.
Charleston. Stephen, the guy who just left, was from Charleston. What
Oh
part
yeah?
What part of South
Dillon,
Carolina?
actually.
Where's
it's a tiny,
Dillon?
tiny little town, like right on the North Carolina-South Carolina border, on the South Carolina side.
On the South Carolina side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when did you move to New York?
Well, I grew up in a strange family that was always traveling a lot. We were always traveling and we played music together. So we were always between South Carolina and New
You got
York.
to explain a little bit more.
So
When
we
you
were
say a strange family.
Well, they were just sort of like these roaming gypsy, mentality. My parents, they just wanted to travel around a lot
And play music.
and play music. And then as we were born as kids, we were just sort of like added to the band. So I was actually born in Aruba. But that's
Very
just because
nice.
my mom's from there and we were on a trip through there, and then I just happened to be born there, and then we left like 3 weeks later. And then it was pretty much all over the world, So originally South Carolina, born in Aruba. New York was sort of like a big home base for us. But between that, all over the world.
What happened to that band?
They're still doing their thing.
They are?
You know what I mean? Yeah, I play with my sister sometimes. She lives in New York as well. But
You said enough of this family
there's 10 of
stuff.
us, 10 brothers and sisters.
10?
And my parents. So they're sort of like all over the place still.
That's a pretty amazing
It is.
backstory already.
Yeah.
Who cares if you can sing or play or anything?
Yeah,
That's enough of a story at that point.
Yeah.
So you're in New York, and then you decide, I'm done. I got to strike out on my own.
We were in New York, and then we all went to Germany on a trip, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to New York and do my own thing. And it was definitely
And
time
how
for me
old
to
did
do
you
that.
decide that?
I was like 21. I was like pretty much older.
So
already.
last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much last year then.
Very,
You said
very recently. But, it was like, it was weird because, when you grow up in that sort of environment, it's like, it's a tight unit, you know what I mean? And you're part of like a band, but you're also part of a family. So it's sort of like, you have to make the decision what you're going to do with your life. Like, am I going to do my own thing? And I feel like in that situation, it's a little bit even harder to like break away and do your own thing. You know what I mean?
See, I generally ask a lot of artists what was the turning point for you to decide to pick up an instrument or become a singer.
Yeah.
But with you, there was never a choice.
Right. And it's weird because even though I didn't have that choice, I still had to discover music again for myself because of the fact that I grew up doing it. It wasn't really my own thing. It wasn't really my own choice. So when I started doing music again, I had to sort of rediscover it. Like, wow, like what do I really like? As a separate entity.
What did
from
you
my
find?
family. I started out busking in the New York City subways, and that was really like my foray into the world on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I would play in the subway, and I'd meet all these musicians and like crazy characters and these people, and I would like learn from them, and like we'd sing together. I actually put a band together of like, we were all
Buskers.
subway, yeah, we were all buskers. We were all like 20, and we were like, the first it was me and the bassist, and then we'd like wander around, we'd like play whenever we wanted to, and then we saw this drummer, and he was like, oh, he's cool, let's ask him if he wants to be in our band. And so it was like, and we got together, and that's when we started playing. That's when I really started writing as well.
Right.
And getting more into being a songwriter and really getting into like the technical.
What did you find then as far as what did you like as far as music went? Because obviously when you're playing in the family stuff, obviously when you're playing you weren't writing.
Yeah, I'm really weird when it comes to that because I love pop radio, right? So I was listening to that, but at the same time, that was like, I don't know, like whatever's on the radio, like Beyonce, Pink,
Right.
And but at the same time, I'm also hanging out with these like a jam band type environment, and that's kind of like the music that I was doing was like jam band music. So I listened to a lot of local artists as well, and support that. So it was like a weird combination of like, I love pop sensibility in terms of like writing, but at the same time, I like to add a twist to it,
So, okay, so when you're busking with these guys and putting weird stuff together, you don't know what their influences are, but you're listening to pop stuff on the radio.
Right, and I didn't really have, I listened to music growing up, but it was a very strict environment, and we didn't really listen to secular music because it was like a religious thing as well. So I would listen to it, but only when I would sneak and listen to it. So it's not like I grew up listening to every single kind of music. So when I heard these guys playing in the subway that I was playing with, obviously they came from a background of like the Beatles and this and that, but I only heard it from them.
Right.
So I was like, wow, this is so awesome. Little did I know that they were actually copying somebody else. So then I'm taking that and like incorporating it to what I do. So it was like a weird, like a copy of a copy, but it was a fresh new start because I didn't really know about it. So it was like interesting.
Well, I have news for you. The Beatles basically ripping off American R&B since day one.
Oh yeah.
And a little bit of skiffle music in there too, which they didn't invent either, but they put it all together, and then they came up with a quote-unquote original sound.
Right.
But it's because we all heard about them from
Right.
television shows that we didn't realize they were basically ripping off Black American artists.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
same
a lot
thing
of
with the
people
Rolling
have
Stones.
been doing that.
So everybody's done that.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part about it was, but
Yeah.
so, the sad part about it is. So how did you get quote-unquote discovered then? Somebody went into the subway?
Yeah, I was approached by a lot of people, like manager. You meet a lot of people doing that. And at the time, I was like still in sort of like the separatist mentality. So I was like, I don't really want to do that. I'm going to do my own thing. So I made my own CD, sold a bunch of it, like 30,000 copies. I would play it all over the city. I'd sell my CD when I perform. And then finally, that's how I was discovered, was in the subway by my label. And I got signed. It's been a process. It's been sort of like a process to get to where I am now. And this record actually that I wrote was written like within a sort of a 1.5-year time period. And it's very introspective. It's very lyrical based. It's very about what I was going through at the time. So it's like, it's like when you listen to it, it's more of an introspective type record.
Interesting. Very interesting. Future-wise, it seems to me like you can go in any direction that you want to go.
Yeah. Future-wise, I'm going to be doing a lot more, like I was saying, like beat-driven type stuff. Obviously still writing about the stuff that I love to write about, which is not necessarily writing about like love songs or whatever. I like to try to write different things.
Okay. Well, good luck in the future.
Thank
Continued
you.
success. We will
Thank
chat
you.
later. Thank you.